Hey guys, Edison Enjoyous Tears here, and I finally got this stuff in the mail. This is from the Goldin Auction. The auction actually ended like December 10th, so it's pretty much a month since this auction ended. Sorry, we'll start with this box. This was a video game. This was 100% an impulse buy. I was just going through the auction block, and pretty much every single item that I found even mildly interesting, I was highlighting, I was like favoriting, and throwing like a small bid on just to get my name in the running for it. And eventually what had happened was like the actual day of the auction, a lot of this stuff started to go up in value. And this was like one of the few video games that I felt like I was still able to get for a decent price. But even then, still impulse price purchase. I know very little about Dr. Mario and very little about NES games. In general, like I don't really have any attachment per se to NES games, but I partially wanted to get a graded video game to kind of see how the cases look and how it displays in hand. And this was a 9.0 graded by WADA, and I think I'd seen an 8.5 in the same in the same exact game sell for around $700. So I was able to pick this up for $600 after buyer's premium. But even then too, like just in hindsight, I think to me it felt like an okay purchase, assuming that I got it within like 2 weeks to try to sell. But that 2 weeks ended up turning into a month of waiting for it to come in. But yeah, this is just Dr. Mario NES. So it's factory sealed, 9.0, decent grade with an A rating on the seal. But the main thing, as I mentioned, was there was a mystery box. And what I mean by that was, for some reason, Goldin had this listing that said 90 BGS cards. I'll try to see if I have a screenshot of the listing to put up. And the only photo that was included was of 9 cards from the set. 9 cards from a 90 card set is kind of hard to judge a price on. So I pretty much it came out to around $11 a slab is what I have into the BGS cards. And I was like, you know what, at the end of the day, I think $11 per card for BGS is cheap enough that it's still worth me going for. I have to find it later. So I bought that lot, as I mentioned, but I had also purchased some actual cards. I purchased like cards that I was aware of what I was getting. One of those was this. I think it was these two together. It was just like a mixed listing of the Shadowless Alakazam in a 7.5, and then the regular base set unlimited version in a 9. So nice cards. I really love the Shadowless version of this card. I think one of the things that motivated me here too is I think maybe a week or two prior, I sold my CGC graded copy for quite a bit more than I purchased this one up for. I think this combination of these two cards came out to around $120 after buyer's premium, which I thought was very competitive. And then this one here, this is Umbreon, obviously from Skyridge, P.S.A 10, very strong grade. This is the non-holo. Obviously the holo demands an insane premium. I think the holo might be like a $10,000 card, maybe $5,000, but it's like high 4 figures. But here we just have the Umbreon from the set 10. It's obviously just a good grade for P.S.A. And this one, I was seeing comps on eBay for around $250 to $300. I ended up picking this one up for $180. And that's the thing with like these cards and the Dr. Mario. This is like a trap that I kind of fall into, but I'm bidding what I'm bidding, right? Like I see that number, I bid 150 on the Umbreon. I was like, oh, 150 is an insane deal if I get that Umbreon. I win it, and then after the fact I realized, wait, it's not actually 150 because you have to add on buyer's premium, and then depending on the state you live in, sales tax. So realistically, I added 18% onto the purchasing price that I expected, and that kind of stuff. That's a huge amount. Like, it's very important to be aware of buyer's premium when you're going into auctions, because that's a really easy way to lose either a margin or lose a good deal. But yeah, let's go over the BGS cards. I'm hoping that they're not all too junky, but like from what I saw, even in the listing photo, the quality of cards wasn't too high. And you can see right off the bat, a lot of them are this white label BGS. And if you don't know, you get a white label if it's below 8.0. I believe. I think if it's 8 or below, you get this white label, and then, yeah. 7.5 Pidgeot Hollow Rare. Honestly, not a bad looking card, all things considered. Like, look. And the BGS cards are a little bit harder to show because they have that like reflective inner sleeve. But it is a little bit of whitening here, but not. I would not say that that's bad enough to be considered a 7.5. That seems a little tough in grade. Like the main thing that I'm going off of too is they mentioned that I forget the exact words, but it was something along the lines of like, sorry, it was like first generation. I think that's what the listing said. So it didn't even say the set that it was from in the title. I think it just mentions that it's from that the Pokemon should all be like the original 151. Vaporeon Hollow from Jungle. This one's really beat up. There's tons of scratches on the hollow foil. Yeah, this. So, I mean, this is probably just someone mass submitted all these cards at once. They got this giant submission back from BGS, and they decided to just send them into to Gold and have them do it that way. And looking at the type of cards now, it makes a little bit more sense why they would choose to auction it off that way. Because it's not like any of these cards really demand a premium in their own right. I mean, I think I pretty much pay close to market for a lot of this stuff. So yeah, I think I pay market for a lot of this stuff, but I think there's some things that I might be able to make a slim margin on. I think the 8s and above have a pretty good chance of getting a slim margin, especially like cards like Raichu. The Jungle Vaporeon might be good. This was one of those good ones too. This was in the listing photo, but just a base set Ninetales and an 8.5. 8.5 is definitely a decent grade. You're happy to see that. 7.5 Snorlax. Yeah, these cards, they're not too worn on the back. They're not awful condition. Because when you hear 7.5 Beckett, I think you can have a bad 7.5 from Beckett. But these cards look nicely, but a lot of them do seem like they were from like an actual person's collection because they have like lights, very moderate signs of play, very light signs of play. There's a good one, the Mewtwo from base set. That's definitely one that you want. And then Lapras. I think this Lapras, Nidoking, Mewtwo, those were all advertised in like the first photo for the like what you would be receiving. But I don't think anything else was. And then one of the other things that I'm looking for is they had mentioned that there would be Blastoise in this like lot. That wasn't, to me, that's also weird. Like they did this listing. Obviously, it's weird that they just would show 9 cards of 90. Like even though I'm saying like it doesn't make sense for them to break up the lot into smaller lots because the quality of the cards here isn't really there to justify it. I would assume like if say you were the consignee of that, I would much prefer if they photographed all 90 and just threw them up. Like that's the best case because the cards are already graded. You only really need a front photo if you really want to save the time. So you only need to take 10 front photos for these cards, and you probably could have gotten maybe double that price at auction. But yeah. Oh, what I was saying with that was the first photo they had didn't show. I don't know. Oh, sorry, it didn't show. They said there's a Blastoise in here. I'm hoping there's like evolution lines for the starters, obviously, and I'm hoping it's like a base set Blastoise as well, because base set Blastoise even in mid grade will recoup a large chunk of my overall price into this lot. But like 8.5, the starters in that grade are decent. They're definitely worth picking up for. As I said, it's like an average of $11 a card. And this is, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of WotC stuff in general because it's also very saturated. But to be able to have all this inventory of all like already graded WotC cards is decent inventory to sell through. I don't know, these, like as I go through these cards, I'm realizing I really do like BGS grading. The grading standards, people can like debate if they like them or not, but I just like how the slabs themselves look. Well, that kind of sucks though. Look at that. It's like a hair, a piece of dust trapped in between. I like the slab, how the slab looks. Sorry, I like how the slab looks. I like the sleeve. I like how rough that is. Holy, giant gash. Oh, this one's disgusting. Why would someone grade this? Oh, no wonder they didn't show the Blastoise that was you be getting in this lot. It's a 3.5 Dark Blastoise. I mean, that's probably worth like 30 bucks. Not the worst. Couldn't even be first edition. Damn, that's pretty gnarly. That seems like a 3.5 at CGC too. And then this Gloom 9. The Gloom collectors will be eating well. This one was interesting. I want to pull this one out. Here we have a Dugong base set unlimited. But you see it has a blue label. I've seen this like once before. For it's the same thing. It's an altered card. I wish they would tell me what the alteration was. Maybe inking? Not particularly sure what the alteration was. Maybe it was trimmed or something? That kind of sucks to not know what it is. I don't know. Maybe I'll search up the pop number. Because like maybe there's information on the population report for that card. But yeah, that's... I don't know. That just seems weird to me. That it's... If you know, if there's... This is like why I understand some people have issues with BGS. Oh, this is a pretty good one. Just getting a base set Pikachu, even in 9. But yeah, that just seems like a weird thing to encapsulate. Like if you know the card is altered, to not even mention what the alteration is on it. That's why I do like CGC. If like say the card is inked, I'm guessing that card might be inked, which is like someone tried to put coloring on the back of the card to cover up whitening. If that's the case, CGC would give it a green label and note that there is inking. But I mean, it doesn't seem like BGS did anything of like that. And so one nice thing I'm noticing is pretty much all the non-hollows, uncommons and uncommons and commons, non-hollows, they're grading like we're getting 8.5s to 9s in them, which I don't know. I think that's correct. Like that's good. So like I'm fine to accept like the lower grades and the hollows because those are always popular, but you really want the non-hollows to be at least the 8.5 to 9 quality, because if they're not, then it's a very hard sell. Here we just have a Metapod. It says 70 HP corrected. Oh, right here. I'm not familiar with the actual, like the error version of the base set Metapod is. So I apologize. Weedle to go with it. It's kind of gross. Hopefully that can get buffed out. And I'm thinking now too that now that I have all these BGS cards, I'm gonna need BGS sleeves. That adds so much like it's a lot because I gotta scan everything in. I gotta buy sleeves and then re-sleeve it all when they come in. But I do think if I'm gonna sell through these, I should get the sleeves just to make people happier. But we've had a nice streak of 9s. Nice, all 9s just now. Let's grab. Oh, this was also something. I didn't recognize it. This was one of the cards that I had just purchased on its own. It was this base set first edition, like first edition Shadowless, the English version, Chansey. It's a 6.5 BGS, but I think I paid like 150 for this, which to me is a very, very good price for a base set hollow. And it was also a lot cheaper than comps too. That's a kind of just how I do my auction buying. Is I'll go through an auction. I'll highlight every single item that I even have a smack of interest in. But PWCC Goldin, you have to be one of the initial bidders to bid in extended. So I'll just throw mass bids on everything, just to kind of get to express my interest, and then you could bid, as I mentioned later on. But yeah, I go through anything that I find even remotely interesting, I will bid on, and at that point, then it just becomes a game of like going through and comparing everything to previous sale listings on eBay and trying to come up with like a fair price. This is decent. 8.5 Gyarados base set unlimited. Let's see. I think the other base set hollows we had were 8.5 too. So that's a nice little trend to continue. I think BGS will also just sell well. And this is nothing against CGC. I like CGC as a company, but I think if you're selling CGC 8.5s in a lot of these cards, it's a lot tougher. But I do think the BGS name carries some weight to it, especially with, like, I'm pretty sure sports collectors are still pretty into BGS, and maybe Magic people might still like BGS more than P.S.A. And then this one's pretty comical. Like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do with this. I don't think this thing moves, right? Because, like, the idea is that the case is sonically sealed together. I like the silver label. And this is, like, another thing I like about BGS. I like the cases. The inner sleeve, not the biggest fan of, but I understand how they work with this, like, just the size of the case. But I really like those metal labels. They do feel a little bit more premium. But yeah, this stack right here looks like it's all just going to be, you know, probably 9s for this WotC common, uncommon bulk. But it's nice to get the uncommons at least in 9. Uncommon Butterfree, uncommon Furo, uncommon Tauros, nice. Ooh, this one is a white label. Let's see what it is. Oh, it's a Vileplume non-holo. I think the... Wow, so we got an 8 in the holo version and a 7 in the non-holo. I guess that's fair. There's a lot of, like, to me it feels like light play more than anything. Base set Charmander in a 9. I might be wrong, and I might have forgotten if we've already shown duplicates, but I don't think we have. Rapidash. This is just a nice artwork from Jungle. That's a really nice artwork. Wow. That's just beautiful art. Oh, great. Base set Unlimited Electrode in a 7-5. Alright. Definitely not very strong there. But that Rapidash is nice to get. Jungle Unlimited Bellsprout. And what I'm noticing too is that it's all unlimited. You know, if this was all first edition stuff, this was actually a pretty decent score. But the fact that it's all unlimited definitely, I don't know. This goes back to what I was saying. Like, if this really is just, you know, someone collected the first 151 Pokemon and they sent in every single copy of, like, they probably, like, this is how a lot of people probably collected, right? They would just want one of every Pokemon to create a Pokédex, and then just have the evolution lines, like have their binder pages of the evolution lines, and everything kind of structured like a Pokédex. So this might just be someone collected that, sent their whole binder to BGS to get it slabbed, and then auctioned it. And that would just make sense, right? Because I don't think, as I mentioned, we're seeing duplicates really for any of these cards. I don't think we have. Oh, this one's kind of scratched. Magmar. Unlimited 9. The base unlimited cards are pretty nice to get in 859. Even the commons, uncommons. This one's... Oh, I thought we had a Snorlax, but I think maybe the Snorlax we had was holo. Oh yeah, so we got a 7-5 in the holo and then an 8 in the non-holo. But, you know, non-holo rare. Snorlax is probably a decent one. Kabutops is what I was really thinking about. Alright, so then we got the holo Lapras in 7-5, non-holo in 8. This doesn't feel like a good card to get. This doesn't look like a 6-5 either. Really, really bad. Bad edgeware. This might be like a 5. I'd probably rate this with like a 5 with CGC. Because if you know, I do have quite a few CGC 5s. This isn't a good card. To be quite frank, 6-5 Eradicate is not impressive. 8-5 Seal, we'll take that. 8-5 Graveler. This is nice art too. That one's decent. I'm happy to see silver labels again. Golduck. 9. This is pretty nice too. 9 in the Pidgeot non-holo. I'll take that. Oh, so then throw out what I said, because like this is the fossil Magmar. So there's no way that it's just like one of every Pokemon. So I don't know. I don't know what this type of collection was. But this definitely just looks like this feels like a binder collection that someone sent in. And then I picked up the scraps on. I know it makes sense too. You collect them for a long time. You probably do have Charizard. You probably do have all the base set starter holos. But instead of throwing them in this lot, you'll probably just auction those off separately. Or sell them separately, or even keep them. And then sell these to recoup your cost of grading. 8-5 Jungle Pikachu. I'll take that. 8-5 Parasect. Let me move these cards in the front. It's getting a little tight to kind of show off. I'll just do it this way. 8-5 Parasect, 8-5 Kakuna, length weight correction. I think it might have said height on the original, like the error version, but it's 8-5. 9 in the Marowak. These are not bad grades. Well, I guess I like that because it's the uncommon. Oh my god. This is the first card we've seen with a gold label, which is 9.5 or above. I mean, this looks pretty nice. This is a nice little Seed King artwork. This artwork I do remember a lot too, because I think this was in the Pokemon TCG game that I used to play on. I used to go to my dad's office as a kid, and I would bring this really heavy old laptop, and I wouldn't be able to really do anything. So when it was like bring your kid to work day, I would just sit at his cubicle and play the Pokemon TCG on the laptop. And I very vividly remember this artwork for Seed King and Goldin. But that's really cool to get a 9-5. Nice little surprise. These cards are decent because they're popular Pokemon. Pinsir in a 9, Dratini as well. This one kind of look. It's not as severe as that Machop, but this is just like objectively not in the case. Whatever. Farfetch 9. I would say this isn't a popular Pokemon, but I still remember when I was in Collecticon Houston that I met that guy who was. He kept asking the booth that I was at if we had how many Farfetch we had, and I think we had 3 altogether, and he bought all 3. And I just remember it just came down to, he says Farfetch is his favorite Pokemon, so he decides to buy all the Farfetch cards he comes across graded. You don't need a lot of people to like a card for it to sell. You just need enough people to just have a genuine interest in it. You don't even need a lot of people to know about a card for it to sell. But if you have just a few people who genuinely like that Pokemon or love that set and want to complete it, that's typically good enough to justify buying it. Moltres is a nice pickup in 9. Even this one, I like this artwork a lot more for the Fossil Ghastly than the Base Set Unlimited one. I've never liked that Base Set Unlimited artwork. It's a really nice Weezing. 8-5. War Turtle in 9. So that's nice to get the starters. Ivysaur in a 7-5 isn't the most impressive. Beedrill in a 7-5 isn't very good either. This one's pretty OC as well. Yeah, like these are so weird to me because I was praising earlier, like the 7-5s from BGS weren't looking that bad, but like now that I flip over some of these, they're pretty rough. 7 in the Nidoqueen. We're pretty much coming to the end too. I think I might have known about the Nidoqueen. We have a 7-5 in the Hollow Muck. Not impressive grades by any means, but not the worst. And then we have a Mint 9 in the Base Unlimited Diglett. And we're going to end on a 9 in the Vulpix. I think after buyer's premium, which was 10%, it came out to like $11 or $12 a card. So my cost base is fairly low. And as I mentioned, I think the 9s I can definitely make a nice little margin on. The hollows I should be fine to make something on. And overall, the quality of the lot isn't that poor. In my opinion, it's not the worst. Like I was afraid that a lot of it was going to be like these white labels, 7.75s for the commons. And at that point, you're just screwed. You're absolutely screwed. It's going to take forever to sell that stuff. But I think this was pretty decent. And part of the reason I wanted to do this too was I have a very robust CGC collection available for sale on my website and like on eBay. And I have a decent sized P.S.A. submission or P.S.A. log. But I have no BGS cards anymore. So I was like, okay, this is a pretty easy way for me to introduce new inventory to the store, but then also create a video out of it, which I enjoy doing. And then as well have like a decent inventory, so if someone comes to the site. And one of the nice things too is I don't have these cards. I don't have at all. I don't sell these cards typically. So what that means for me is that it just adds unique inventory, and that's something I really need because I have a lot of redundancy in my inventory, a lot of duplicates for CGC, modern cards, Japanese, English modern. But it's nice to have like a small position of English WotC just to mix it up and kind of curate to a different audience. I will say probably my favorite thing we got was this random 9.5 Seed King. Probably not very valuable, but I'm nostalgic for this artwork, and after looking and shifting through all these 9s, 8 5s, and 7s, it was kind of like a breath of fresh air to see that gold label.